As the human gods arrived at Tyria, they brought humanity with them, who began to spread across the planet. First arriving on the continent of Cantha in 756 before Exodus, with many then migrating north in the year 205 before Exodus to establish the kingdom of Ur. An estimated 100 years later, an Orient prince gathered a group of Orients and headed further north to establish a new kingdom. Mazdak, a prince of Ur, relinquished his claim to the Orient throne and brought a group of his people to establish the kingdom of Kryta, fighting back the centaurs who lived in the area and building the first human settlements, such as the settlement that would eventually become Lion's Arch. Kryta held hostilities towards the kingdom of Ur, as their people had left the land to hold power over land themselves. Mazdak had strategically picked the locations of his various settlements in order to strengthen and fortify his newfound nation. These hostilities would eventually evolve into the Guild Wars, which would see conflict across the continent of Tyria. However, kings come and go. He passed away and was buried in the Provernic crypt, where many other notable individuals of Kryta would also be buried in the coming centuries. With Mazdak's passing, others took his place, and the events of history would unfold. In the year 1219 after Exodus, the elder dragon Zhaitan awoke, and with him he rose the sunken kingdom of Ur from the depths of the ocean that had been sunk by Vizier Kilbran a century and a half prior, causing tsunamis which would devastate the people of Tyria, Cantha, and beyond. From his newfound stronghold on Ur, he would raise armies of the dead and work to empower himself and consume the magic of the world. At an unknown time, Mazdak, the first king of Kryta, would be corrupted by the dragon of death and shadow and become a powerful lich who was forced to serve the elder dragon. In the year 1302 after Exodus, the Sylvari sprouted from the pale tree in Arbor Bay. 12 young Sylvari were the first to step forth into the world of Tyria and begin to develop a society, make political relationships, explore the world, and mentor the next generations of Sylvari, which would begin to emerge from the pale tree. Of these 12 Sylvari, one of the most noble among them was Riannoc. Valiant, idealistic, and direct. Riannoc did not fear death, nor did he have an understanding of what death really was. Riannoc's wild hunt was to face the undead lich Mazdak and bring an end to his wretchedness. Mazdak, as a powerful lich, could not be killed by forged weapons. The pale tree gave Riannoc a thorn from her own bough, the only weapon that she has ever made, a mighty blade known as Calidbog, a living blade that has the ability to enhance the qualities of those who wield it, such as their strength, wisdom, bravery, and even negative qualities. And with this mighty blade, Riannoc would be able to destroy the undead lich that he was destined to fight. Riannoc had come across a young human boy by the name of Wayne. Riannoc had taken Wayne into his fold, and Wayne became his squire. The two together would eventually find their way to Lichcroft Mere to combat Mazdak and his undead minions. However, before the two began to fight the risen hordes, Wayne was too afraid of the lich and his minions and took refuge nearby.
We make our stand here. The pale tree has given me a mighty weapon. Armed with Calidbog, we cannot fail.
The lich is powerful, Riannoc. His army is vast.
What good is power when it's afforded you by an evil master? What good is an army when you're standing against love, honor, and loyalty?
But none of your kind has ever experienced death. Do you even understand fear?
I don't need to understand it. I only need to do what is right.
No, I'm afraid. I'm frightened, Riannoc. I can't stay.
Alone, Riannoc stood his ground against the encroaching Risen and tore down hundreds upon hundreds with Calidbog in hand. However, Riannoc could not defeat all of the Risen and was eventually wounded in battle.
So tired.
Wayne, where are you?
I can't do this. The lich is too strong. I'm too scared. Let's use the sword to save ourselves. Come on, let's go.
Calidbog, the sword is powerful. With it, we have a chance to...
A chance to escape, yes! Riannoc, I want to live. I have to get out of here. I don't want to die.
Wayne, no! I need Khalid Bog to kill Mazdak. Come back. I cannot give up. Mazdak is coming. Forgive him, Mother. We were both too young.
Wayne, fearful of death, took Khalid Bog and betrayed Riannoc, leaving Riannoc to become overwhelmed by the swarming Risen and become the first Sylvari to ever die. Wayne fled back to Kryda, and in the following years he joined a group of bandits and worked with them, before eventually joining a tournament and using Khalid Bog to rise to the top by beating all other opponents. In the year 1325 after Exodus, a Sylvari valiant began working with the three orders of Tyria who were combating the Outer Dragons, especially the forces of Zhaitan, who had been amassing throughout central Tyria. The valiant and representatives of one of the orders began defending Overlake Haven and Kessex Hills from the forces of Zhaitan, when suddenly the leader of the Risen forces appeared.
Harold, wait! Look over there! Do you see that?
Mazdak, the Accursed. The once king of Kryda turned into an undead lich by Zhaitan. The Valiant and the Order's representative returned to the grove to inform the Pale Tree and other individuals about what was going on, where the group formed a plan that they would recover Riannoc's lost sword, Khalid Bog. This took the group on a path to discovering the true fate of Riannoc with the betrayal of Wayne, to which the group tracked down Wayne participating in a fighting ring and defeated him, reclaiming Khalid Bog. With the group having the only weapon that would be able to defeat the Lich Mazdak, the Valiant decided upon a plan of the Order whom they wished to join in the coming conflict against Zhaitan. The Order of Whisperers would manipulate the Hrathi Centaurs to attack Mazdak, where the Order would then assassinate Mazdak while he was weakened. The Vigil would defend Ascalon settlement and launch a direct counteroffensive on Mazdak to end his life. And the Derman Priory would infiltrate the Proverna crypt and defeat the Lich as he slumbers. No matter which plan the Valiant would choose, them, the Firstborns Kaith and Traherne, and their chosen order would be able to defeat Mazdak, and finally bring justice to Riannoc. Thank you for watching this short lore and story video about Guild Wars 2. I hope you enjoyed. If you like this type of content, feel free to check out my ever-expanding playlist that is on your screen right now. Have a good one.